Hello, and welcome to NJSBDC Small Business Webinars. I hope you're all doing well. Today is Tuesday, December 5th, and you are attending our weekly webinar created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. I hope you are all excited for this webinar. And if you've been attending for the past couple of weeks, ever since we started the Tuesday webinars, then you know that we've been doing this session to help entrepreneurs start their business, register their business. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you. My name is Uzma, and I am the host and a consultant here at NJSBDC. If you're wondering what all the acronyms that you're about to encounter are, don't worry, I'll try to explain them. So NJSBDC, that's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. We are a network and we are a statewide program powered by the SBA, stands for Small Business Administration, and partners like NJBAC, Business Action Center, to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. And those three main things are no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. If you look at the map, that's of course the map of New Jersey with all the counties. And if you see the little tiny SBDC logos, that's where our physical regional centers are located, serving different counties in New Jersey. So if you're from any of those counties, please feel free to register if you'd like to visit in person. If not, you can just register for virtual counseling. While I do introduce myself and the network and the webinar, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us what you plan to do with your small business, if you, how you'd like to register, if you have any set up already with social media and things like that, feel free to let us know. And of course, this is our series for how to register your business with $0 NJSBDC support. What is on the agenda? So we have a couple of headlines from our small business community in New Jersey. Anything that goes on in around here that we like to inform you and keep you updated on. Then we have our presentation from our speaker, and then we have a Q&A session. So these three links that I'll be sharing with you, these are all news articles or just press releases or just updates. It will be shared in the chat. All right, so the first one is from a couple of days ago. It's from NJEDA. They've issued requests for expressions of interest for New Jersey Green Fund financial support. And this is an RFEI, so that means you can go to this email right over here, no later than 5 p.m. on January 12th, and you can submit your responses. So what it is that they're asking for information and of your interest in financial support from the Green Fund. They can be found here if you go to this website. They've aimed to facilitate a clean energy transition in New Jersey by attracting private capital to enable the state to meet its ambitious clean energy goals while also providing measurable benefits to overburdened communities. Pretty cool stuff. If you have any information, we highly encourage that you submit your responses via email, and the RFEI can be found at this link when you open this press release. Second is a press release from the SBA. SBA Veterans Small Business Advisory Committees set to host virtual public meetings from December 6th through 7th, so tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. There is all the information here for the committee. It is virtual, of course, so you can register. And they've provided these links. And what else is important? Right, so who the IATF members for the task force on December 7th, it's the advisory committee. So who is Isabel Guzman, the administrator for the SBA, is giving you the time and the how where you can register. The third is from excuse me. The third is from business.nj.gov. It's an update. If you'd like to apply for working capital loans, then this is available. Small businesses and nonprofits can now apply for working capital loans of up to $250,000 from the New Jersey Capital Access Fund. If you've been operating for at least 12 months with a revenue of 10 million or less and fewer than 50 employees, if you are just registering your business, this might not be as relevant or helpful, but if you know someone, a family or friend who can use this to their benefit, then please feel free to share. Right after I'm done with this introduction, I'll share those links in the chat. What's next? All right, some rules that we like to follow during our webinar. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box that is right next to the chat box. We'd like to address all of your questions in the Q&A session after. If you put them in the chat, they'll most likely get lost. We won't be able to address them. If they're in the Q&A, it'll be much easier. If you'd like to receive the speaker's slides, then please complete a brief survey. The link will be shared, and you will receive the slides in the PDF form, not via email. It's just when you complete the survey, there's a page after, like a completion web page that opens up, and you'll see a link there. Also, just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel or our website, and you can find it there. All right, so let's welcome Vanessa, who's a consultant here at NJSBDC. Vanessa's been doing this How to Register a Business series since November, and it's been a great hit, and we're excited to help you all today as well. So Vanessa, welcome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uzma. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm going to share my screen now. Just bear with me for one moment and we will get started. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what to know about starting your new business and creating a limited liability company. So once again, my name is Vanessa Schwartz. I'm a consultant with the Small Business Development Center. And whether you're someone who wants to take your hobby to the next level, or you're interested in pursuing a side hustle, or you're a professional in your own space and believe it's time and the time is right to venture into entrepreneurship, we're here to help you. We're here to educate you. And it's great that you're here to educate yourself, learning the process, the costs, the legal requirements, tax consequences. All of these items are critical in understanding your business entity. And we believe that by learning about it, doing it correctly the first time, again, with our assistance, we're here to help. Our counseling is no cost to you. We believe that you're setting yourself up for success. So with that, let's move forward. So we are going to talk a little bit about the different types of business structures, although we will be focusing on the LLC. All business entities in New Jersey will go through a process of formation and then registration. So they're two separate processes, and we're going to be talking about that. There are also additional state regulations for some businesses, not all. So we'll address that a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about the tax consequences for some of the different business structures that are available to you. A little bit about funding and cash management as a new business owner, any additional needs that may come up, and also your next steps, opportunity and growth. Each of these items are subjects that we are here to assist, mentor, counsel be with you through your early stages, through your growth. Again, we're here to help you thrive and prosper. And with no cost to you, we are happy to do it. Okay. So just a little bit about some of the structures. So we're going to start just to talk a little bit about sole proprietorships. That's probably the least cumbersome, the least burdensome, the least protected business structure that you can form. It is a perfectly nice vehicle for some people. It may work well for you. You are able to accomplish the creation of the sole proprietorship through the county clerk's office. You apply for a trade name. It's done again through your county. It costs about $50 to $60. You can download a form in the application right from the website of your county clerk's office. There's some notary involved there, then there's an opportunity to either mail it in or drop it off, and you are able to apply for, again, what is known as a trade name. The trade name should be unique in your county. In addition to doing that, you can either use your social security number as your tax ID, or sometimes now we really are seeing more and more, and we do encourage it to consider applying for an EIN from the IRS. It is free, doesn't cost anything. It's not required, but by having a separate tax ID number for your sole proprietorship, you may be taking some good steps forward in protecting yourself and your identity and not having your social security flying around if you have to constantly be showing or using a tax ID for any sort of transactions or W-9s in that respect. So the other thing to consider too is that you are permitted to use personal banking accounts for your business. If you are transacting, you collect funds, money from a transaction, whether you sell something or you provide a service, you are permitted to take the money and deposit it directly into a personal bank account, as opposed to having to open up a separate business banking account. For tax purposes, the income from your business is passed through directly to your personal tax return using a Schedule C attachment. It's a disregarded entity in the eyes of the IRS. And honestly, it does most TurboTax programs, if you get the complete one, allows or has options to handle the Schedule C, or you could speak to your accountant. Basically, you're just providing the sales, expenses, and ultimately the net income from your business attached directly to your personal tax return. There's no legal separation between the assets of an owner and his or her business, which means you have no liability protection. So if you were to run into a situation where you may fall into some debt, or there might be some legal action or lawsuit, unfortunately, your personal assets are at risk in that we do not distinguish between the personal and the business in a sole proprietorship. So moving forward, if you are interested in a more structured business entity, we move to that next level of liability protection, which is the commonly known and used LLC. Now, the limited liability company costs a little bit more to form in New Jersey. It's handled on a state basis, not at the county level. It is done online. The formation process is done strictly through the New Jersey portal. It costs $128. This is payable to New Jersey directly, either using a credit card or a debit card. And you are required to maintain your LLC through an annual dues process called filing an annual report, where you basically would log in once a year, usually around the formation date, anniversary of your formation, and you would pay the $75 to keep your business in good standing. With the LLC, you are expected and required, especially if you are hiring employees, but it is required to get a EIN tax number from the LLC. And again, that is free. We help you with that as well. We go right to the irs.gov website. We do the online application. We walk you through that process. You are required to have a separate business banking account. It must be in the name of the business, using the tax ID number as the tax ID of record for your business account. And you do have some options when it comes to taxation. If you are a single member, that should really say member, I suppose, but single member owner, member means owner in LLC terminology, you are permitted to use the Schedule C as well, which is actually very nice. It makes it for a very simple tax filing process. So you are not a sole proprietor, but you have the benefit of filing your taxes as if you were a sole proprietor, in that you only have to attach that Schedule C to your income tax return. However, if you're more than one owner, or what's known as a multi-member LLC, you are required to make a choice on how you'd like to be taxed. The Form 1065, as I understand it, is the default tax protocol for a partnership. You're not a partnership, but you may use the Form 1065 to record and submit the income tax return for your multi-member LLC. Or there's the option to choose the 1120, which is the tax filing for the S Corp. You have, again, limited liability. However, it does protect your personal assets, protects your personal banking. It really only held responsible for the assets that are held within the LLC umbrella. Moving forward on the protection of the, in terms of liability protection, is the corporation. You have your strongest liability protection in a corporate business entity. It's a little bit more money to form, in that there's more requirements. You must have bylaws. You are required to put together a board of directors. You hold shareholder meetings. There is a completely separate tax return for the company. And under a C corporation, you are taxed at the corporate level and then again at the shareholder level. So that's what you may often hear is people referring to double taxation. But it does, you will have definitely the strongest liability protection on that continuum of business entity and structures. Some people may ask, well, why would a small business really incorporate, does that make sense? There are certain even if you're a small business, there are certain industries that it does probably make more sense to incorporate. You see it sometimes in trucking, in contractor work, examples of where perhaps insurance requirements are a little bit more, or sometimes there are certain vendors who only wish to do business with corporations because of the liability protection that who they're doing business with. So there could be reasons why you may want to incorporate versus doing an LLC. And then just a little bit about the C Corp versus the S Corp. If you are a corporation and you wish to, and you're small and you feel that double taxation is something that's going to hurt you as a small business owner, there is an option to apply for the S Corp tax filing. It's a change in your tax status, and it allows for the income from your business to flow directly to your personal income tax, avoiding corporate income tax and then shareholder. You still have the responsibility of filing the separate tax return, but again, you will have avoid that extra corporate tax for the business. LLCs also maybe choose to be taxed as an S Corp. That's a whole other conversation. That's something I would advise you to speak to your accountant about. There are times when, as LLC, you're owners. You're never employees of your business. You're the owners. And for income, there are self-employment taxes that get um, levied for your business. As an S corp, there are other allowances in allowing for you to put yourself on payroll, and thereby, I guess, lowering your profits. And now you are being subject to payroll taxes as well as owner income, but it can affect the ultimate cash burden of your tax payment at the end of the day. Again, something you would want to discuss with your accountant. Okay. All right, now we're going to talk about the limited liability company in particular. We want you to get it right the first time. We don't believe you have to pay a third party for what you can and should be able to do yourself. The portal is pretty good, although it does sometimes lend itself to some questions on how to answer certain things or how to properly do it to make sure that you're doing it properly, which is why it's nice to have an SBDC counselor sitting by your side or talking it through over the phone. We can assist you through that formation piece as well as the registration. And again, at no cost to you. We want to make sure you understand the terminology, know what it is that you're doing, know what your requirements are, help you familiarize yourself with the NJ portal, understand where to go if you need a certificate of standing or if you have to pay your annual dues, understanding that you have to, again, not only just form the LLC, but at completion of that process, it is necessary for you to take your formation as well as your tax ID and then register with the Division of Revenue and Treasury for state tax purposes. And that ultimately allows you to transact business in New Jersey. We'll help you to understand how you can keep your documents organized and accessible. And we can start talking a little bit about your bookkeeping records and how you think that might work for you and your business to stay organized. And this is just a reminder that once formed, do not forget to register the company. A lot of times we have seen third party, either accountants, LegalZoom, lawyers, they'll go through the formation process with the client. Maybe they'll assist in getting a tax ID, but they leave that last piece out, and I'm not exactly sure why. I would think that at a minimum, any person that you hire to form your business should remind you at the end of the process that you have one more step to take. And in order to actually transact your business, you are expected to register with the state. And so we make sure again that that happens. And it can create problems down the road if you don't. Many times we have seen through COVID, especially when state grants become accessible and you're trying to apply and New Jersey is looking for your business registration, very often we'll hear businesses say, oh, we registered, and they'll show me their certificate of formation, but that's not the registration. That's just the formation document. So without that business registration certificate, you're really not, in the eyes of the state, a business permitted to transact business. That makes sense. And now there's a new federal requirement. We're going to be looking more into this, and we can help you navigate that as well. Recently discussed is this beneficial ownership information report. To me, it just appears to be that now, whereas at the state level, you were registering to transact business in your state, it seems that the federal government now wants to know what's going on with your state formed LLC. Who are the owners and what are the profit shares? And so we're going to look a little bit more into that. When you get the slides, there's a link that explains a little bit more of that. It'll just be an extra step in maintaining your LLC, because I do believe you have to kind of check in once a year. So when you go to form your business and register your business, you'll need to have a unique name in New Jersey. You can do a business name search prior, and there's the link. You'll need your EIN. Again, you'll get that off the irs.gov. It's free, does not cost anything. You'll need to know your industry codes, both the NICS codes as well as your New Jersey industry code. But no problem if you don't know it right now. When you're going through the process, you click on the link and you put some keywords in, and we can help you figure out what best would describe the industry that you're in. You can have multiple codes that apply to what you do, but what they're looking for basically is the one that probably most identifies what you are doing for their own record keeping businesses, for their own record keeping and research to know the types of businesses that are being opened and started. You'll need a registered agent. Registered agent is basically a individual, a business, or it could be yourself, whereby any legal documents can be delivered or mailed, anything relating to your LLC. It has to be in New Jersey. And if you want, you are permitted to use yourself and your home address as the registered agent. If you're not comfortable with that, you would have to look into a service that offers the registered agent um, services, and you will pay for it. Cost depends on who you choose. We always recommend to try to find somebody who, you know, will do the job without all the bells and whistles, if possible. The one thing that you have to do as an LLC owner is you have to log in every year and pay your annual dues. And it's something you can do yourself. It costs $75. The registered agent will do that for you, but they may charge you $175 to do that for you. So not really necessary. I mean, if you don't want to think about it, you can always ask them to do that for you on your behalf. But so that's something when you're looking to hire a registered agent, you can see how much does it cost for you to be my registered agent, but I'm only interested in XYZ, and then you can decide. If you're a multi-member LLC, you will need an operating agreement. That's something that we can discuss in more detail if you make an appointment with us. And $125 plus $350 is the processing fee for the online formation of your LLC. Usually debit or credit card is the easiest way of payment, but they also do take e-check. When you get to the registration part of the process, that's when they'll ask you for the names, addresses, and social security numbers of all the owners, as well as the ownership percentage. And again, in LLC terminology, owners are referred to as members. Okay, so the other thing that you're going to need to know is how you wish to be taxed. That's the question that comes up in the registration. Those are the options, again, that they will give you as a LLC. You'll need to know if you have a sale of your goods or services, whether or not they're subject to New Jersey state sales tax requirements, and if you're eligible to make exempt purchases. We have later on in the presentation a link to the document from the New Jersey Division of Taxation that goes through all the things that you can possibly think of in terms of transaction, selling of goods and services, and whether or not they're subject to state sales tax. It's always good to check if you have any questions. Certain goods, which are typically subject to state sales tax, are exempt, like clothing, and certain services, which are normally not subject to state sales tax, can also actually be subject to state sales tax. So they're exempt except when they're not. So a perfect example is a house cleaning service. If you pay for a housekeeper and they invoice you, they are supposed to charge sales tax. You should know if your business requires any additional registrations, certifications, insurance thresholds. Workers' compensation is an example of additional insurance you may need. The industry, this is all spelled out also at the NJSBDC.gov and through the Business Action Center. There's, we have some links that you can look at later. But like a general contractor would be required to have a general contracting registration. A home health aide requires a license. Um, Certain types of cosmetology and hairdressing or hair braiding requires additional licensing. There's food safety protocols. So it's important to know that after you go through the formation and the registration, if your line of work requires anything in addition to that, that's something that we can look at and help you find and confirm. And then you'll have to identify a bank where you'd like to open up your business bank account. I always say maybe just check with where you personally do business first and see if there's something they can do for you if they have they do actually offer business banking. Otherwise, it's good to look around. You really just want to make sure you're not paying any kind of annual monthly dues. Work something out where it's not costing you extra money to have a business bank account. Okay, this is the link page where some of these links can be found. If you fill out the survey, you'll have access to the slides and you'll be able to click right on. But a link to where you can look and see what additional licenses and registrations, what what's subject to state sales tax, what isn't. If you get to the point of possibly having to pay estimated income taxes in New Jersey, what the requirements are and the thresholds there are, probably something you can look at, but I would talk to an accountant. The process for hiring of employees, your options as a W-2, W-4 payroll as an employer, or whether or not you're going to hire independent contractors for your business, in which case you would you would have the vendor fill out a W-9 and you would issue a 1099 at the end of the year. No taxes are withheld. The burden is on the vendor to go ahead and then file and pay taxes on the payment. And then part of our counseling is always to help the business owner understand how best to get started. That does require some funding initially. What are your cash needs? What do you need to get started to open the door? What do you need to keep the business going? How much of your own money are you going to invest versus do you need outside additional sources of capital? And we have wonderful relationships with lenders throughout the state. So we can assist you if you are looking for a loan and help you with your business plan, get your projections together, and basically want to make sure that you understand just some basic financial statement terminology. You want to understand the income statement, your balance sheet, your cash flow. This may not be something that you went to school for or that you would inherently know, but now as business owners, these are important topics and items that you want to be familiar with in order to ultimately be profitable. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is you want to make money. And so unless you fully understand that you are whether or not you are taking in more than you're spending. And sometimes it's hard to tell if you don't keep good records, you don't understand, you're not really watching your books, you're overly investing in things that you may not need right now, then you're going to have trouble down the road earning that profit. So we try to address some of that with you and to help you and so that you're basically getting the best return on your invested capital as possible. And we offer all sorts of counseling, but also labs, learning QuickBooks. And that's something that you may want to consider next time we offer one of our QuickBook classes, but we also have webinars. You can go to our webinar page where all the older webinars are stored, and you can watch replays of them as well, talking about all these subjects. And then we'd like to guide you when maybe additional needs are necessary. When is it in time to call that accountant? When would you need a lawyer? If you have questions about insurance, again, financing, we have counselors who specifically focus on social media and marketing. And typically, we want you to consider us your business mentor, is how we are structured. Other things that services that we provide is help you get your state certifications if you're looking for potentially down the road some procurement opportunities or getting into government contracting. There's the women-owned, minority-owned. We have veteran, disabled veteran, LGBTQ plus certifications, as well as the small business enterprise certifications. It's a process. We walk you through it. We can explain it in more detail through a counseling session, but it's something to keep in mind. And the lending, again, SBA lending, something that we're familiar with and something we can help you with, as well as the guidance in using the NJEDA website, which is basically Uzma had referenced it, an agency that is constantly promoting financing incentives, whether it be through low interest loans or grants coming from the state for small businesses. Okay. Now, there are two opportunities here for you. If you are not formed yet, not registered, don't have your business in place, and you want counseling, we would recommend that you go ahead and scan, or when you get the slide, you'll be able to click the link, the top, and that would put you in touch with somebody, I guess with me, talk with Vanessa, to help you form and register your business from my team. And then if you're already in business and some of these other items or of question, concern, you want some clarification, or you just want to pick up and have any questions about your business, you can scan, and that'll take you to probably your closest SBDC. And depending on where you are, we do have 11 centers, I'm sorry, in New Jersey, and you'd get assigned to a counselor and hopefully get your questions answered. Also, if you would like to do the LLC formation and registration in person, we offer some in-person learning labs in order to get the job accomplished. You'll be with other people. It'll be in a classroom setting. We have one coming up next Monday, which I'm going to just do this now. If you would like to do that, here's the place for you to do that is right here. This will be held at the Morris County Economic Development Alliance in Morristown, and you'll have to bring your own laptop. Remember to bring a credit or a debit card because you will be paying the filing fee of $128 online, but you'll have access to a couple of counselors and we'll walk you through it as a group. Gives you an opportunity to ask questions and do it in person. With that, I'm going to pass it right back over to Uzma.
Thank you, Vanessa. So I'm just going to put the link that you've shared for the flyer, the event that you're sharing, in the chat, so everyone can use that link to register if they'd like to attend. And here it is. So you can use that link to go directly to the registration page, or you can scan the QR code and register that way. Moving on to our Q&A, I just want to remind everybody, our audience, that this webinar is being recorded. So along with our video library, this webinar will be available in that video library. And if you'd like to receive the slides that Vanessa has shared, please complete our brief survey and you'll receive the slides as a link and you can do them. We are moving on to our Q&A session. So if this is where you sign off, then we hope you enjoyed our webinar today. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday and next Tuesday. So we do offer, let's see, we do offer, a question just came in. Do you offer personal assistance in Spanish to register companies? Elizabeth, yes, we do. We do provide
yeah, I'm so
counseling.
sorry. I should have said that. Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. We do offer personal assistance in Spanish. So just like we offer our counseling services in English, we do have consultants who can offer these services in Spanish. It's a good question. Thank you for asking. All right, but I'll take the questions and we'll ask you, Vanessa, in the order that we received them. So feel free to chime in. So first question is from Ashok, who asked, what would you recommend? What would you recommend? A LLC or corporation formation for a tech startup?
What tech? I'm sorry, what startup?
Would you recommend an LLC or a corporation formation for a tech startup?
Tech?
Hmm.
Um, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. I would say that that's a little bit of a tricky one because I just had that recently with another client, and we actually it's something that we discuss back and forth for a good amount of time, and I would encourage you to make an appointment so because there'll be additional questions, but I can see why that is could be a little confusing because sometimes with tech startups we notice that you're not really making anything right away and you're doing a lot of research on the front end, and but then eventually you may you'll see, and then this is why we want to talk to you. I will need to learn a little bit more about what you're doing, what your plans are. Are you interested in eventually getting additional investment in your business, or offering equity to investors, venture capitalists? That might lend itself more in a corporate situation versus an LLC, but sometimes it's a while before you get to that point. So I would just say that that is something that I would I would hash out with somebody, maybe make an appointment. We could talk a little bit in more detail about, what it is you're doing, how far you are away from, growing to that extent, so it is something that's worth discussing. So I hope that answers the question, and that there is really no good answer in a vacuum. It's going to depend on a bunch of things.
Got it.
And you can always start one way, and up to you. You can always decide down the road if you want to then become a corporation, if you start as an LLC.
Gotcha. So can you just expand on that, Vanessa? A question just came in and they're asking if you are registered to one thing, but you want to refocus on a totally different business, is that okay?
If you're registered, in terms of like picking a code
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Your LLC umbrella permits you to basically run as many businesses underneath that umbrella as you wish. You can create alternate business names for different parts of your business. So let's say your LLC umbrella, you're running a retail, online shop or something along those lines, but also say want to on the side, you know, tutor or do something else. You can certainly all You don't have to have one code that identifies you. For the purposes of registration, it's just one of those things that for that moment in time, I always just tell people, where are you going to get the most of your revenue right now? Like, what would you say your primary business is right now? But yeah, alternate business names are easy to do. It's $50 for 5 years. And if you want to, even though your legal name may be one legal name LLC, but you want to market yourself in different capacities because your retail business doesn't really suggest that you're a tutor, you can have an alternate business name under that umbrella.
Gotcha. Um, okay. Next question is from Gail, who asks, does the registered agent do they have to be in New Jersey? Gail thought that many businesses use agents in Delaware, or would that mean they can register their business in Delaware but do business in New Jersey?
A New Jersey yes, okay, so yes, the registered agent has to be in New Jersey. That's yes. You may be, I don't know if you're referring to corporate, a corporate situation, but either you're a New Jersey domestic LLC, meaning you're domestic to New Jersey, you live and work in New Jersey, you do business in New Jersey, registered agent in New Jersey, or if your LLC is, say, formed, maybe this is what you're thinking about. If your LLC is formed in a different state, say you form your LLC in Virginia and you want to register to do business in New Jersey because you're going to have a presence there, or there's a requirement that you, in order to work with, say, a certain state sponsored or, government or university or whatever the case may be, and they may ask, well, we're going to need a business registration for New Jersey as well, then what you do is you take your LLC from Virginia and you form in New Jersey what is known as a New Jersey foreign LLC. You go through that process, and then you have to get a registered agent in New Jersey to serve as your registered agent in New Jersey. So you'll probably end up having a registered agent in both states.
Got it. Manuel asks, does wholesale, such as domestic and overseas exports, are they subject to sales taxes?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, do wholesale exports, so domestic and overseas exports, are they subject to sales tax?
No, you only have to charge sales tax if you are selling, well, first, if your item is subject to sales tax, and if you are making that transaction in New Jersey. So you cannot charge, say, a Pennsylvania resident New Jersey state sales tax because they're in Pennsylvania. So the sales tax can only be placed upon the product or service if the recipient is in New Jersey.
All right. Hopefully that answers your question, Heather. I'm sorry, that was a question from someone else. Next question is from Heather. If I don't want to use my personal address and name for my business publicly, but I won't have a storefront to use as the address. So we're assuming, Heather, that your business is virtual. They're asking, is this where a registering agent is needed?
Two separate items. So when you go to form, these are great questions, by the way. When you go to form, you'll see that you're going to be asked for your main business address. If you're a home-based business or an online business, or you don't want to put your home address down as your business address, you can look into getting what's known as a virtual address. They have virtual address services. There's a number of them out there. However, the registered agent is separate. Registered agent is there's another page then. Who's your registered agent? And the registered agent has to be in New Jersey, and it has to be an approved registered agent in that's their service, and it cannot be a PO box, or it could be your home. And if you don't want to use your home, because that is going to be the address on file, then you have to hire a registered agent. Now, what I'm not 100% sure about is, and I probably should know this, is are there services that'll be your virtual business address as well as your registered agent? I don't know if Uzma, you're aware of that. You'd have to ask if they're one and the same. But the registered agent has to be in New Jersey, and it cannot be a PO box. So I hope that answers. Now, again, with the business address, you don't have a retail storefront. You don't want to use your home address. You can look into getting what they have. They're called virtual business addresses, and they'll serve as that for you.
Got it. Thank you. Um, we have a question from Robert who asks, can you explain the investment difference between an LLC and an S Corp?
Well, okay. The LLC costs $128 to form and $75 a year to maintain. An LLC, you're still an LLC, can opt to be taxed as an S Corp. So that's one thing, right? That's just how you choose to be taxed. Again, you're an LLC. That doesn't change the fact that it costs $128 to form, $75 a year to maintain. Now, there might be differences in how your taxes come out. So that's a whole other issue. You have to talk to your accountant about that. But in terms of the legal requirements to maintain your LLC. However, if you choose to become a corporation, that can be more costly to maintain. It's still only, I believe, $128 to form a corporation. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure what the annual dues are, but typically speaking, we'll say that to run a corporation costs more money. It may require more use of a law firm. You have your board of directors, you have your meetings. Usually you'll hear that the fees for filing taxes for a corporation are more money. It's more complicated for the accountant, but you can choose to be taxed as an S corp even from the corporation. So the way you have to think about S corp is that you're either an LLC choosing to be taxed as an S corp, or you're a corporation that has the more expensive structure, but then you file to be taxed as an S corp. So the question really would be, is it more costly to be an LLC versus a corporation? I hope that answers the question and I explained it the right way. I'm not referring to your tax burden. That is something only your accountant can answer, whether or not you're better off. It's more at tax advantageous for you to choose S corp tax filing.
Got it. So Robert has reached out and said and clarified that it is about investment into your business as an LLC, about others investing in your LLC and an S corp. Robert, please reach out to our website, our request counseling. This is something that is non-registration related at the moment. And we're better off having a chat offline rather than discussing this in depth, as it requires an in-depth answer during the webinar. Thank you. We have a question from Yun Young who asks, my husband is interested in doing a tourism in New York City. Does he need to register the LLC in New Jersey or New York?
I'm going to say these questions need to be handled offline. These types of questions where you're getting very specific into, I got to ask, where do you live? How much, it's nuanced. It's not something that I can, it's not black and white. It's something that you would want to see counseling on, and we can kind of go through your specific situation, and then we can kind of lay out, well, this is what you can do. And then ultimately you would make your decision.
All right, next question is from Crystal. And Crystal asks, if you are running multiple businesses under one LLC, should you do a DBA?
That is up to you. You can. I always say DBAs are great if the multiple businesses are nothing to do with each other and you want to market. So if your LLC was started up because you were selling jewelry and it had, some kind of reference to jewelry, but you're also, maybe doing something else on the side, and you don't want to go marketing yourself as, people are going to think, oh, I didn't know that that's what you did. It just sounds like you sell jewelry. And you say, no, I also clean houses, or I also tutor, or I also, uh, I don't know, something else. It's a nice idea. It's a nice option that you can get an alternate business name so that that name is more reflective of the other um, types of services or goods that you're selling, and it's easier for marketing purposes. So I hope that answers the question there.
Got it. Um, yeah, if we're not clear with any of our answers, I ask our audience, please feel free to clarify. And after you clarify, it's the topic is something that we can discuss offline, then we'll let you know definitely, and we'll ask you that you please register to request counseling to either speak with Vanessa if it pertains to her, or any of our other consultants if it's a nuanced topic related to something else. Elizabeth asks, how many alternative names can we register?
I'm not aware that there's a limit. I mean, remember, it's $50 for every one you file for. I'm not aware if there's a limit. I've never seen. I mean, you can have I want to say you can have as many as you want. I don't know how many you're thinking of doing, but you're not limited to just one alternate business name. You can apply for them as you need them. They do expire. The only time we say that's not a good idea is if the different businesses have different levels of risk. Remember, anything under that LLC umbrella is subject is at risk. So if one of your business lines is a delivery service, and or maybe something that involves the risk of getting into an accident, or whatever the case may be, or if you're doing something that's above and beyond, or even ownership of property, you wouldn't want to own have a real estate investment in your LLC umbrella while also running your Uber driving. Because if you get into a car accident and then you get sued, remember, all the assets held within that LLC are subject to risk. So that's when you might want to consider separate LLCs if the businesses have, if you want to protect the assets within what you're doing. If that makes sense.
Got it. We have a couple of questions on how you are able to have a virtual business address. So, like, where do you go to do that? Where do you change it? Are you required to put a personal address somewhere? How does that process look like?
Well, I just the other day was helping somebody with this, and I just Googled it. I typed in the Google search bar virtual addresses for some businesses in New Jersey, and multiple options came up. So you can look into that. It's very accessible. Um, there are a bunch of different choices. I can't recommend anyone for you. You'd have to look to see what made the most sense, but it's easily accessible online if you just put that in the search. The in terms of you do have an option for, on the formation. It's one of those. What is your business address? And then at the bottom, you can use, say, the virtual address. At the bottom, you have an option to click a box. Is it different than a mailing address? So then if you want the mail to go somewhere else, you can do that. The registered agent, again, has to be a physical location. It can't be a PO box. It's either your own registered agent, and they can get, you put your home address there, or you have to make sure that you're dealing with an approved registered agent location, that they agree to be your registered agent. And there are services out there that do that. Sometimes accountants do it for you. Sometimes law firms will offer to be registered agents. In terms of where do you have to put your home address, I'm not 100% sure, but usually when we get into the IRS, when you're filling out your address for your EIN, because you do have to put an address in for your EIN, on the top it says, please make sure that this address matches the address we have on record at the IRS. So if you're already like filing your income taxes every year and your personal income taxes, and you're using an address and you're trying to get an EIN, they're going to want to try to match what they have on file. So that's where, but that doesn't get published anywhere. It's not on record for, it hasn't, won't, I don't believe it has anything to do with, what anybody would see as you form and register a business.
Okay. Danielle asks, we applied and received two different EIN numbers. Is there a way to combine both?
No, your EIN. I just want I just want to say too, if anybody's interested in changing to a virtual address and they want to amend their LLC, it does cost $100 to make that amendment. But right on the New Jersey portal, you can log on. It's called basically it's filing an amended articles, and you can go on, you can change your address. But unfortunately, the New Jersey does charge $100 to change any of the articles of formation. If you just want to change a registered agent, it only costs $25. They do have this sidebar where just changing a registered agent, they'll only charge you $25. Okay, so now I want to get back to that question. Can you say that again?
Sure. They were asking if there is a way to combine both.
Oh, no. So each LLC has to have a dedicated tax ID number that is assigned to it. So legally, your EIN and the letter that you would get from the IRS when you apply for the EIN has to match the name on the certificate of formation. So that should be one for one, and they're sort of basically like assigned to each other. Now, if there was any kind of weird thing that happened and by accident you got away with applying for two EINs with the same, I would think that would have gotten kicked back. You're going to have to decide which one is the real EIN, make sure it matches with your certificate of formation, and then contact the IRS and close out the other one.
All right. So that's answered. They have another question asking, we no longer use our registered agent. How do we change our registered agent officially?
Right. On the New Jersey portal, once you get in there, there's an option to change. It says change registered agent. You click on there. You'll be prompted to put your, there's a number that you get on your certificate of formation, and you'll be prompted to put that entity ID in, as well as, I believe, the start date, your month and year of your start date, and all your info will pop up. You can change your registered agent. And again, New Jersey only charges $25 to change a registered agent. So the registered agent is the one that would typically get the information from the state each year when it's time to pay your annual dues. And this is what's always a little bit tricky, because you have a situation where sometimes then the registered agent will send you a bill for $175 and say, hey, it's time for you to pay your annual dues, except for the fact that it only costs $75 to maintain your LLC, not $175. You write them a check for $175. They log on as if they were you, and they pay your $75. So we really think that, you want to make it very clear with your registered agent. If you want to save the money and do it yourself, it's the equivalent of just logging on, putting your credit and debit card in, and paying your dues. It's called filing a business annual report, which sounds really intimidating and scary. And most people are like, oh, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to have my registered agent do it. But there is no filing of anything. It's basically they just log in. I think there's one question they ask you, do you have workers' compensation? Like, has there been a reason why you would have had workers' compensation this year? So nothing's changed. You say no, and you go ahead and pay your dues.
Got it. We have a question from Vigila who asks, will my personal address be shown everywhere if I choose not to have a registered agent?
Choose not to have a registered agent. Oh, if I choose not to registered agent and you be myself. Yes. Yes. You can look up somebody's registered agent pretty easily. Yeah, and that's like an address of record. So like say you were doing something and this is just the only example. I'm sure there's other examples, but say someone wanted to sue you, they would look up your registered agent and then the legal documents would be delivered to your registered agent. So that is an address of record.
All right, and we'll take the last question that we have from Juanita, who asks, is the registered agent responsible for any liability of the company?
No, no, the registered agent, no, the only person who's responsible for your company is the owner, the owner's liabilities. No, there's no liability there.
All right, and that concludes our Q&A session. Hopefully that was helpful. If not, we always say that please reach out to request for counseling. We always have a quick turnaround, especially with Vanessa and her team for startups. So please feel free to register. Let me just share my screen. There we go. And show the couple of links that we've been talking about, that Vanessa has talked about, that I've shared in the chat. This is our njsbdc.com page. It is our main website, our homepage. Right as soon as you go here, the first thing that you'll see is request counseling. You put in your email, you select the county you're from in New Jersey, and you request counseling. You can do that, and our website is also a great resource. So please take out 5 to 10 minutes of your time in your day and check out everything. We have podcasts, blog posts, other resources, things like that. If you go to events, right under events, and you go to Android Thrive Small Business Webinars, it'll take you to this page. I highly recommend that you sign up for our newsletter. And this is our video library. You can see that we have topics from marketing to QuickBooks to HR to AI to celebrating Women's History Month and Black History Month and building your website and Vanessa's webinars, all of it. And it keeps going and going and going. So please feel free to check out our video library. It's a great resource. All our webinars are usually from 45 minutes to an hour. You can also watch it on YouTube. The second page that you go to from statewide events right here is this. This is all of our events in person or virtual from our network. You'll see the date, the information, where to register, if there's a fee, if it's online and if it's free, who is hosting it. For example, the one that Vanessa talked about is this one, LLC Formation. If you wanted to register to that, you would simply go to register. It'll ask you to fill out the information, and here's all the details that you should be mindful of. Right then, our next webinar that we're hosting is on Thursday, this Thursday on December 7th. The topic is sustainability and business, building a future-ready 2024 business plan. Uh, we will be having an NJSBDC consultant as well as the NJDEP Sustainability Bureau Chief. So if you'd like to register, go to this QR code and scan, or go to our Eventbrite page or the page that I just showed you where you can register. Other than that, we've helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow. No cost small business consulting. It is confidential. It is at no cost. We legally cannot charge you for counseling. So it is no cost. Please believe that. Believe that. Training and events starting at $0 and exclusive small business resources. Please go to njsbc.com and find out more. We look forward to having you on our next webinar, whether it's Thursday or Tuesday. If you'd like to see more of Vanessa, then please attend our Tuesday webinars. If you'd like to see webinars on other topics, then Thursdays are the days for you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for continuously supporting us, and we look forward to having you on our next webinar. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.